What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to episode number 515 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It's KB coming at you solo dolo. We just had a plethora of live streams going on, so I'm doing this one solo because things ran a little late. But make sure you go check out our Selection Sunday live stream presented by the Glue Guys College Basketball Podcast, our college basketball show with Owen Mitchell, Tom Sander-Chia. We had a fun time on that live stream, breaking down the bracket. We're going to be talking March Madness on our main pod and a ton more in-depth over on the Glue Guys, so definitely go check that out. We got a lot to dive into Philly sports-wise. It's been a crazy week in the world of Philly sports since we last spoke to you guys on Wednesday. We've got a lot to dive into from the Birds, the Phils, the Sixers, the Union, and the Philadelphia Flyers. Yes, we have Flyers talk to get into because ding dong, the witch is dead. We'll get into everything with Chuck Fletcher. But before we get started, a big housekeeping news moment. If you're watching on YouTube, which you should, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia, you can see underneath our date logo that is right next to me there. It's tough, right there, that side, under the date. We have a presenting sponsor of Underground Sports Philadelphia. We teased it on our anniversary show because we had early details about it, and it felt like a good time to bring that up. Obviously, with the entire OG crew in studio, it felt like a good time to announce that then. So if you missed the anniversary show, definitely go check that out. But the city of Vineland, our hometown, it's where I currently live. It's where Matt lives. It's where Dylan lives. It's where Dom has spent a lot of his life as well. The city of Vineland is the presenting sponsor of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It is a wild thing to conceptualize, being that, we've been podcasting for 5 years now. This is year 5. Shout out to year 5, but we're still very young. We're still very fresh and new on the internet. And for our city, where we grew up, where we went to school, where we made friendships, it's the city where the 4 of us came to be, the really, really close friends. It's a city where a lot of our core life memories to this point have occurred. For them to get behind us and want to back this show and want to be a part of what we're creating here at Underground Sports Philadelphia is super special to me. I know it's special to the rest of the guys as well. And when I told our crew that's, not from Vineland, they were, blown away by the fact that our city wants to get behind us, to have the backing and support of the city of Vineland for this podcast, for this company, is so, so special to me, and it means the world. I can't thank the city of Vineland enough, Mayor Finucci, and everybody who works for him that, helped us get this deal done, and really, just knowing our city wants to support local businesses. This is definition of that, and getting behind a new era of a local business, being that we are a digital media company. We're not your brick and mortar traditional type of business. It truly speaks volumes to how awesome our city is and how much they want to give back and endorse the community. So big thank you to the city of Vineland. Big thank you to our listeners. Big thank you to all of you who have gotten behind us since day one, whether you're from Vineland or not. It means the world, and without you guys at home listening, you guys on the internet who back us every day with just the fun, wild content we do, this wouldn't be possible without you guys. So big thank you. can't thank the city enough. Our city's behind us, and that is a massive thing to really know and understand as not only as content people, but as a business perspective and as, citizens of our city, like to know that we have the backing of our city's, public office and front, facing figures, is very special to us. So we can't thank the city of Vineland enough, the new and first presenting sponsor of Underground Sports Philadelphia. But before we get into everything, like I said, the city of Vineland is the presenting sponsor of Underground Sports Philadelphia, and the City of Vineland Municipal Calendar features city-organized, city-sponsored, and city-affiliated events that are of public interest. The calendar, which is accessible at vinelandcity.org, is a good way for residents and visitors to build awareness, remain engaged with city government, and participate in local events. You can also follow the City of Vineland on social media via their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube pages. Through these tools, you can stay connected to the community and get important announcements about programs and services offered by the city. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing, the brand new presenting sponsor of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Make sure you guys are also following us on the socials at Underground PHI, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.com/Underground Sports PHI, Twitch.tv/Underground Sports PHI. We're going to be live streaming a ton this March with the NCAA tournament going on, Underground Madness, if you will. So definitely check us out on the socials. You can follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311 and KBIZZLE11 on Instagram. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We're there. Go subscribe. Leave a 5-star review. It really does go a long way for helping the show continue to grow, helps more people find Underground Sports Philadelphia, and gets us on those ever-elusive podcast charts. So go subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of all of the podcasts on our network. That's where you get live streams. That's where you get original content. You get clips. You get shorts. You get all of it. Any video-based product, pretty much. 99% of it's going on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Big thank you to our other sponsors who make this show happen, who have been with us since day one. Main Auto LLC, Security 21 Security Systems, Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated, and the Dental Wellness Center of Vineland. And, of course, guys, go get your merch. PHI Apparel Company, the exclusive merch provider of Underground Sports Philadelphia. They're going to be part of our live tailgate podcast going down on April 8th, 2023. You don't want to miss out on that. More details about that coming later this week. But PHI Apparel Company, there's no doubt in our minds that you will stand out in the crowd when you are rocking your merch from PHI Apparel Company because of their high-quality clothing, unique designs, and they're our exclusive merch partners. You're going to stand out in the crowd, and with their original designs for all, there's no doubt about it. You guys, you can use our promo code UNDERGROUND. You get 10% off any and all merch when you shop online at phiapparel.co. That's phiapparel.co. You get 10% off when you use code UNDERGROUND from our amazing, awesome, exclusive merch partners. Let's get into it. The Philadelphia Flyers are leading off a show. Who would have thunk that in the year 2023, the Philadelphia Flyers would have lead billing on Underground Sports Philadelphia? The way that they've been playing? No, it's not the way that they've been playing that's leading us off. It's the simple fact that ding dong, the witch is dead. Chuck Fletcher has been fired. Chuck Fletcher is gone. We don't have to worry about the Flyers any longer. The Flyers have fired Chuck Fletcher. This happened earlier this week. I'm going to pull up the full statement here, just so we can all bask in the "it took way too long" glory. But here we go. The Flyers officially firing General Manager Chuck Fletcher. This happened as of this recording, and as you guys are watching this 4 days ago. happened officially, right before the weekend. But the Philadelphia Flyers have released Chuck Fletcher from his duties as president of hockey operations and general manager. Danny Briere, currently serving as special assistant to the general manager, has been named interim GM while the organization begins the process of permanently filling two separate positions, president of hockey operations and general manager. Briere traveled with the team when they played Pittsburgh on the day of the firing. But Danny Briere, your new interim GM, Chuck Fletcher is out. And, man, this is one of those moves that feels like it took forever. And it really felt like, what was it going to take for Chuck Fletcher to get fired? He has done zero to enhance the credibility and enhance the on-ice performance of the Philadelphia Flyers since he got here. When we had one of our Flyers State of the Union addresses with Will Castorina in studio, I forget if it was the first. It probably was, because Fletcher's been here that long. But he said when he was in Minnesota, Chuck Fletcher destroyed the Minnesota Wild. He was going to do the same thing here, and that's exactly what he did. It's embarrassing that John Tortorella went out, and after the trade deadline passed and the Flyers did next to nothing, he went and caped for that man and said that, he was doing the best he could. No, Tortorella, you're trying to save your job. I don't know why John Tortorella still has a job either. He should be gone. The Flyers need to absolutely just blow the entire organization from top to bottom, blow it to smithereens, and start over. That is going to be their way to success, is to blow it up. They should have traded everybody. As much as I love JVR, as much as I love Kevin Hayes, as much as I love some of these guys, they should have traded every single player at the deadline, and it's embarrassing that Chuck Fletcher didn't do it. It's embarrassing that John Tortorella, was going to go out and cape for that man for not doing his job, even though he said he was doing his job. No, the Flyers have swung and missed on so many prospects. They have failed to develop talent. There's very few pieces in this organization that even mean a damn to the future of this team, and they need to do whatever it takes to go out and get Connor Bedard in the draft. I don't care what people say that Connor Bedard's not going to change, the face of the organization. If that's a kid who I know as a casual hockey fan, that I know his name, Connor Bedard's a big deal. And if he's in a market like Philadelphia, he's going to make a difference in terms of the landscape of hockey in Philadelphia and the legitimacy of the Philadelphia market in the NHL. Nobody takes the Flyers seriously right now. I can flat out say that. Just knowing the way that people consume Philadelphia sports, just knowing the way that we have, treated the Flyers outside of their mini run in the bubble, they've been a laughingstock. They've done absolutely nothing to garner the trust and the loyalty of the fans, and it finally, has come around where some of these loyal Flyers fans who, no matter what, they were going to go down to the Wells Fargo Center, fork over their money, and go do their stuff to support the team no matter what. There are guys, the orange and black, this, that, and the third. When you have people of that nature finally, calling it quits, there's an issue. So the Flyers need to look themselves in the mirror this offseason when it's all over and done, and we can finally say, okay, let's start the rebuild needs to start now. It's something that should have happened a half decade ago. It's finally going to hopefully happen this offseason. But, man, it feels good to know that. And you never want to root for anybody to lose their job. Let me preface that by saying this. You don't want anybody to lose their job, obviously. But when you're not good at your job, you deserve to lose your job. And that's what Chuck Fletcher has been pretty much since he got here. So to know that the Flyers have finally rid themselves of a bad GM, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago on the show, where you look at the Sixers, the Eagles, the Phillies, the Union, even the Wings, who are owned by the same ownership group, mind you. They have the contingency plan somewhere in the organization. Like, at least the Sixers have the players that want to win. We may not agree on a lot of the other things that the Sixers have, but, looking at the other teams, we've seen success from 3 of the teams in this city in the last calendar year with them getting to championship games. The Flyers have not had that type of plan, that type of, just structure in so long. And I think the firing of Chuck Fletcher is at least a look in the mirror to say, okay, we need to make a change. And that's a positive for the Flyers. It's a positive for the future of Philadelphia hockey. Because as much as we want to clown on the Flyers for being this, kind of cultish type of team in our city, it's always better when the Flyers are good. It's fun when the Wells Fargo Center is popping and rocking because the Flyers are a good hockey team. And it just sucks when, for the last decade, they have just been nobodies. They haven't done much in the last 10-plus years. Obviously, haven't been in the Stanley Cup since 2011. 2010, 2011, I forget what. It was 2010. It's been since 2010. So 13 years they have not gotten to the promised land. And they have not even sniffed a Stanley Cup in terms of, 2010 was close, but I've never seen this team outside of that year have any type of closeness in my memory recollection of winning a Stanley Cup. So it's a positive that Chuck Fletcher is gone. Hopefully, this is the start of a new take on Flyers hockey, and the Flyers can kind of, get their shit together and figure it all out, because they absolutely need to if they want to be, legitimized in Philadelphia again. I've said it off the record. I forget if I've said it on the pod, but right now the Flyers are not in the top 4 in my brain of Philadelphia sports. It is the Eagles, the Phillies, the Union, and the Sixers. Those are the 4. Those are the 4, I think, for a lot of people now, with how legit the Union have been over the last 4 or 5 years and kind of getting into the spotlight since 2020 and forward now. So we'll see how, things shake out. But Chuck Fletcher is gone. Our long-standing Philadelphia nightmare has come to a close. Speaking of nightmares, let's talk about the Fight in Phils. It's brought to you by our amazing energy drink company sponsor partners, Dubby. They're going to war on big energy. You guys should join us in that fight. You should not be drinking energy drinks that make you crash, that give you jitters, that make you feel uneasy. And that's what Dubby is here for. They are making sure that you have a crash and jitterless free experience when it comes to energy drinks. Their formula contains vitamins, amino acids, and nootropics, including the patented neurofactor, which has been tested and proven to improve brain performance by up to 143%. Who doesn't need improved brain performance? Dubby also contains 0 calories, 0 sugars, no maltodextrin, no fillers, no artificial colors. And it's produced in the USA in an FDA-registered and inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP guidelines. And when their raw ingredients arrive to the facility, they undergo a quarantine while a small sample of each ingredient is taken to test for any impurities, while also being tested for Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy to ensure that the ingredients are actually what they are supposed to be and are proper in dosage. Dubby's going to war on big energy. They're tired of not proper quality. And let me tell you guys, Dubby's flavors and taste are out of this world. I'm currently sipping on the Dragonade, which is unfortunately sold out right now. But when it's back in stock, best believe I'll be stocking up on the Dragonade. They've got their Big Energy Tears flavor, which I am going to actually live order right now, the Big Energy Tears, because who doesn't love a good blue raspberry flavor? I'm going to need as much energy during this month of March to get me rocking and rolling. So I am live ordering the Big Energy Tears and going to war on big energy with our friends over at Dubby. You should do the same, and you guys can use our code UNDERGROUND when you go to checkout at dubby.gg, and you get 10% off any and all orders. Go to War on Big Energy with us. Dubby.gg. Use code Underground for 10% off. Shout out to Dubby for keeping us energized all March and year round because they're doing the damn thing. The World Baseball Classic. Team USA, as of right now, they had a late game, so they are still playing as I am recording this. They're getting absolutely mollywopped by Team Mexico, but that's what happens, Mark DeRosa. That's what happens when you play New York Mets players over Philadelphia Phillies. You know, I saw a tweet, and it's kind of accurate. You know, the way Team USA so far is approaching the World Baseball Classic with so much talent and in a way that they can win this whole thing once again and be back-to-back champs. They're approaching it like it's extended spring training, and that's not the case. Every other team in the World Baseball Classic is treating this like it's the World Series. You got to go out there and play with passion, play with fight, and I thought Mark DeRosa was going to instill that. But so far, it's been very questionable. Team USA does end up winning their opening game against Great Britain 6-2. They were losing early, which was kind of rough. Adam Wainwright, what the hell's going on, pal? But Team USA wins 6-2. We got a World Baseball Classic Schwarbomb. Kyle Schwarber with a 3-run home run to help lift Team USA past Great Britain. Great stuff from Schwarber. Great stuff from JT, Trey Turner. But, you know, tonight, of course, they decide to play the Mets players and not, the fight in Phils. And that's what happens. Team Mexico absolutely mollywopping the U.S. 11-3. Right now, 2 runners on 2 outs for that scumbag, that loser, Kyle Tucker from the Houston Astros. But I guess I got to root for him here with Team USA. My pre-tournament prediction of Venezuela, shout out Jose Alvarado. Ranger Suarez, unfortunately, no longer pitching. He had an injury, so he withdrew from the World Baseball Classic. How you doing? Keep it moving. Not great for the Phils. But Jose Alvarado pitching Team Venezuela to outstanding victories. They were my pre-tournament, like I said, like prediction. I was all in on Venezuela. I thought they were the team to beat. As Kyle Tucker goes to first, I believe he just walked. Yes, he did. For Tim Anderson, bases loaded. Let's go, Timmy. Big time Timmy Jims. Venezuela is my pre-tournament prediction to be like the dark horse to win it all at plus 1,100. How you doing? Keep it moving. They beat the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico in pool play so far. Japan, the first team to advance to the knockout round. They win their group. More than likely going to win it outright as they go 4-0. But Team USA needing to figure some things out here early against Mexico if they want to advance. But nonetheless, Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, Trey Turner looking phenomenal in the World Baseball Classic so far, especially with a WBC edition of a Schwarbomb. Tough stuff with Andrew Painter. We talked about it a little bit on Wednesday. We'll see how that continues to progress, but he seems optimistic. The Phillies seem optimistic that he's going to be able to pitch this season and be fine without having surgery now or down the line. We'll see how that plays. Hopefully that is the truth. But yeah, WBC. People hating on it, and I don't get it. The WBC is a lot of fun. The old heads are mostly the ones hating on it because they're the old heads. People don't like change. People don't like, newness. As Team USA just put a run and or runs up on the board. Tim Anderson doing the damn thing. 2 runs score on a Tim Anderson double. It's 11-5 Mexico. But a lot of the old heads complaining about the WBC, like being when it is and blah, blah, blah. It's like, get a grip. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But it is so much fun. It's so cool to see just the energy. And that's the thing, too. It's the old whites that are always complaining about stuff that's not up to, their standards. And when you look at every other country who is in the World Baseball Classic and the passion, the flair, the ceremony that comes with this and how serious they're taking this, it is so cool. I love every aspect of it, from Team Japan, Chinese Taipei, Mexico, the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, the whole 9 yards. Like every foreign team outside of the U.S. There's a passion and a flair and the theatrics all involved, and they take it so seriously. And that's what baseball needs. That's what baseball needs. And Pat Pitts and I have talked about it a ton. The World Baseball Classic is so much fun. And the old whites, you're not the target demo. You're not the target demo of the World Baseball Classic. The target demo for you is a Tuesday night in May to go watch a team play in the second game of a early week series. That's your target demo. The WBC is for our age demo to get back into baseball. For the people who never left, like me, who love baseball through and through. And then it's for the people who did leave, and it's like, oh, let me go watch the World Baseball Classic because it's March. Spring training games aren't all that fun. But World Baseball Classic, oh, they're kind of into it. It's competitive baseball. I'm gonna go, pay a little attention and see what happens. I just don't understand the hate and the nonsense, like, complaining that people just always have to find something to argue about, and that's what you come to learn as you get older. Like, the old whites just love to complain, and it's always the old whites who are, like, just the purists. Like, shut up. World Baseball Classic rules, and if you're not watching, you're missing out. Moving on from a quick little baseball segment there. Shout out to Dubby. Philadelphia Eagles have had some controversy over the last couple of days. Darius Slay was reported by Diana Rossini that the Eagles gave Drew Rosenhaus the opportunity to seek a trade if it was a poorly worded tweet, because so many people, if you pay attention to football and you pay attention to these guys in like Darius Slay's age bracket and age range in the NFL, when they're looking for a new contract, every agent goes out and seeks a trade for them to kind of gauge what the value for their player is. It happens every year, and of course, Eagles Twitter took that and ran with it and turned it into this whole 9 yards thing. Thankfully, Darius Slay has a podcast and went on his own podcast to discuss everything. Basically said he wants to end his career in Philadelphia. He and Howie Roseman have no ill will or bad blood towards each other. They're going to try to work something out, and hopefully he's here for the rest of his career. I fully expect Darius Slay to be here. I would be stunned if the Eagles move on from Darius Slay. He had a great year last year. He was a big reason why the Eagles were able to get to the Super Bowl. You don't just trade that. You just don't let that happen. I don't see that happening whatsoever. Darius Slay is too valuable of a player in the locker room. He's too beloved in Philadelphia, I think, by players, coaches, front office, fans, obviously. I just don't see how Howie Roseman can justify moving on from Darius Slay. I fully think some sort of deal will get agreed to. He'll restructure his contract. It'll help clear up cap space. And Darius Slay will be here for the next 2 to 3 years and probably end his career in Philadelphia, which will be awesome because Darius Slay has been a guy who has felt like he should have been playing in Philadelphia his entire career. He's a fan favorite, has been almost since day one. He's a dog and goes out there and balls out every single week. Jennifer Slay, his wife, is amazing. She's like fully immersed herself into Philly fan culture, has gotten so tight with the fans, going to the tailgates, being on Twitter and interacting with fans and the like. Jen is great, and I would be stunned if Darius Slay is not a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's put it that way. Point blank, period. Old takes expose me. He's a friend of the program. I don't care. But on the other front, kind of surprising news. James Bradbury. This comes from Josina Anderson. Some encouraging little bit of news here from Josina Anderson on the front of James Bradberry. A lot of people, myself included, fully expect James Bradberry to be gone. He balled out this year. Was an unbelievable free agent pickup. One of those guys that it's like he falls into your lap pretty much. And he goes out and balls. Had 3 interceptions in the regular season, interception in the playoffs against the Giants, which was just poetic justice. Josina Anderson tweets out a quote at around 6 o'clock on Sunday, saying, "Just spoke with the Eagles cornerback James Bradberry on his impending free agency. Here are Bradberry's thoughts as we are less than 24 hours away from the NFL's legal negotiating window beginning on Monday." Quote from James Bradberry. "I know there's definitely interest from the Eagles. I would love to play for the Eagles. I definitely see how bright the future is for the team. I'm just waiting to hear on the exact terms from them. I believe they're also waiting for what the market tells as well, because I'm also anticipating interest from other teams too. So they told me whoever calls, just make sure I also give them a chance to match." That's encouraging, because I don't think anybody would have expected James Bradberry to still be in the plans of the Philadelphia Eagles, knowing just how well he played and knowing the Eagles have a top 10 pick that a top defensive back can kind of fall into their laps. And then, Denard Wilson, who this Eagles secondary absolutely talked about loving, is now in Baltimore. I don't know if James Bradberry was a guy that we saw returning to Philadelphia. Now, I'm not saying he's going to return, but this is an encouraging sign, nonetheless, for a potential reunion between James Bradberry and the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, if the Eagles can run it back next year, even if it's for, one or 2 more years, depending on what James Bradberry gets offered, here and there. But if the Eagles can get Bradberry and Slay back together for one more run, along with Avonte Maddox in the slot, healthy all year, that's a win for this defense. That's a win for this defense, because, man, it seems like C.J. Gardner-Johnson is on the way out. It seems like Javon Hargrave is on the way out. It seems like T.J. Edwards is kind of on the way out. The defense is kind of falling around everybody. But if you can retain 2 high-end corners and really have those lockdown guys when you're going up against top wide receiver talent this coming season, that's a huge win for the Eagles. It's a huge win if James Bradberry decides to stay here. Somebody who did decide to stay here and took less money to do so. What a legend he is. What a legend he is. Hailing from the University of Michigan, number 55, Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham is sticking around. He is staying in Philadelphia. He said it wasn't about the money. I love Philly. I don't want to miss a championship with Jalen. Jalen is the man. I just told my agent to make it happen. Brandon Graham signs a 1-year contract worth $6 million to stay in Philadelphia for year 14. Brandon Graham is a true Philadelphia story. Drafted in 2010, was full-blown hated. The pick was hated because Brian Dawkins had just left a couple years prior, and we all needed a safety. We were on a safety withdrawal with B-Doc leaving. And Andy Reid goes and drafts Brandon Graham from Michigan with that 10th overall pick. And it is pretty funny to kind of sit here and in a moment where we all thought we needed a safety after Brian Dawkins left, we get Brandon Graham. What we really needed was a leader for this defense, and that is what Brandon Graham has been for the last 14 years. He has come in, he has worked his ass off to be as good at his position as humanly possible. He has gone through 4 coaches in this city in his career. He's won a Super Bowl, is a huge reason as to why the Philadelphia Eagles as a franchise have a Super Bowl. And he is going to go down as one of the most beloved athletes to ever wear a uniform bearing a Philadelphia sports team. He is easily on the Mount Rushmore of Philadelphia icons of the last 2 decades. And it's just really cool to know that Brandon Graham wants to be here. Like, Philadelphia has turned into his home and wanted to do it at all, no matter what the cost. He was going to stay here. And to just see the development of Brandon Graham over the years and just see how he's become such a fan favorite and such a leader and such a dog on the field. You know, he goes out there and gives it 120%. And for him to have the season he had in 2022, coming off a ruptured Achilles, going out and having a career high in sacks, being nominated for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, there's an argument he should have won it. To just being a guy that everybody loves. Like, Brandon Graham is this city's like teddy bear. Like, everybody wants to hug BG. They love him dearly. And we didn't want to see BG go. He is that type of guy that has fully ingrained himself in Philadelphia as a guy that the day he hangs it up and the day Brandon Graham does decide to retire, which is in the near future more than likely, just with the age and everything, Brandon Graham said he wants to play 15 years. Next year will be year 14. The day Brandon Graham retires is going to be like one of those emotional days where it's like, I can't believe BG is calling it a career. Like, I can't believe he's done. Brandon Graham is one of the few players that we've gotten to watch as Philadelphia sports fans over the last 13 plus years. And I think we can all firmly say Brandon Graham is probably going to get his number retired. He's one of the few Philadelphia athletes who we have gotten the chance to watch and can say number 55 should never be worn again after Brandon Graham retires. There's 2 guys on this Eagles team right now that I think we all feel that way about their jersey number. It's Brandon Graham, it's Jason Kelce. Outside of them, I think the only other guys that we have gotten to watch in our generation lifetime of the last 3 decades who should have their jersey number retired are the core from the 07 to 11 Phillies of Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, Ryan Howard. And you can make the argument for Cole Hamels. But Brandon Graham is a Philadelphia icon. He's a Philadelphia legend. And I'm just so happy he's going to be here because he is one of the pieces of the heart and soul of Philadelphia sports. Not just the Eagles, but Philadelphia sports. He goes out and bangs the drum at the Union game the day that he signs. You know, it's one of those things that, like, BG is Philly, and it's so awesome that he's back, and I couldn't be happier that Brandon Graham is staying in Philly. So shout out to the Graham family. Shout out to BG. He's a real one. He's a long-time, like, white whale guest for us on this show. Would love to sit down and have a conversation with Brandon Graham. But, man, just very happy that BG is sticking around in Philly for at least another year, hopefully, for his career. And he gets to do, 15 and make sure that he fulfills his own personal goal with his NFL career. So shout out to BG sticking around in Philly for another year. Before we keep it going, talking about the Philadelphia Union, the Philadelphia 76ers, shout out to our amazing beer partners, Kenwood Beer, the official beer of Underground Sports Philadelphia. They've been rocking with us for quite some time now, and they will also be part of our live tailgate series this summer during Philly season. Kenny's the best in the game. You guys, about Kenwood, do you need to know about Kenwood? Yes, you do. Of course you do. It's an American-style light lager, refreshing light beer, 4.1% ABV, 127 calories, 10 grams of carbs, light body, light calories, plenty of flavor, the best light beer on the planet. And guys, you can use the all new and improved Kenny tracker at kenwoodbeer.com to see who's got Kenny's on tap in the Philadelphia area. You can also purchase it at your local liquor store in the Philadelphia area, your local Home Goods if you're in Eastern Pennsylvania. That's kenwoodbeer.com. You must be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. Kenwood Beer, a better light beer. The Sixers doing the damn thing to pull us all back in and make sure we get our hearts broken in the second round. The Sixers do the damn thing Sunday night and take down the Washington Wizards 112-93, and they just keep it pushing along. Pulling up their most Joel Embiid on Friday night with the ultimate game-winning shot with 1.1 seconds remaining, puts up the fadeaway. They beat the Timberwolves, obviously, on Tuesday. We talked a little bit about that on Wednesday's show, but they beat the Trailblazers. They beat Matisse Thybulle. Joel Embiid just continues to dominate, continues to put up numbers. That proves why he's the MVP. He's probably not going to win the MVP because the NBA voters are a bunch of nerds who just look at stat sheets and don't actually watch the games. But the Sixers, right now, sitting at 45-22, just a game and a half back of the Celtics for the 2 seed, 3 games back of the Bucks overall for the 1 seed. I mean, the 1 seed is still like a feasible thing, which is wild to think about at this point of the season, where the Sixers have taken us this year. But I mean, you got the Cavs, the Hornets, the Pacers, the Bulls twice in the next week before you go out on a 3-game West Coast road swing against the Warriors, Suns, and Nuggets. The Suns probably without Kevin Durant, which is a big bonus for the Sixers. Hopefully KD is healthy. Obviously, you never want to see anybody get injured, especially the way KD slipped during that pregame warm-up. And then you come home for 2 games in March to round out the month against the Mavericks and the Raptors before you have a gauntlet. April 2nd, 8 p.m. Eastern time, which I believe is a Sunday. So Sunday primetime, 8 o'clock. You get the Bucks in Milwaukee, and then bouncing back on April 4th, which I believe is a Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Tuesday, April 4th, at home, Wells Fargo Center, against the Celtics. That would be a game to take in. I'm going to actually look and see how much the price of those tickets are, because that would be a fun one to attend. $98 on one ticket app. So it's $98 total. Oh, that's annoying. Can't buy 2. I have to buy 3. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. But yeah, Sixers, Celtics, that could be for the 2 or the 1 seed, quite frankly. It's going to be interesting to kind of just keep an eye on everything that transpires with that game. But, we'll see what happens. That game is going to be a wild one. It's must-see TV. Sixers are playing well. Harden's playing well. Tyrese Maxey, who would have thought getting him back in the starting lineup would be beneficial, for his continued development and just seeing the way that this team is playing right now. It seems like they're playing for one another, not really playing, due to anything Doc Rivers is doing, but they're playing for each other. And the rest of the season, you have the Heat. After that Celtics game, you go to Atlanta, and then you're on the road against the Nets to end the season. So playoffs are right around the corner, and somehow the 1 seed is still feasible for the Sixers. I don't know exactly what the Bucks and Celtics schedules look like. It's the Bucks. They have the Kings, the Suns, the Pacers, the Raptors, the Spurs, the Jazz, the Nuggets, Pistons, Pacers, Celtics, Sixers, Wizards, Bulls, Grizzlies, and Raptors. So the Bucks still have some pretty difficult teams on their schedule remaining. And the Celtics have the Rockets, the Timberwolves, the Trailblazers, the Jazz, the Kings, the Pacers, the Spurs, the Wizards, the Bucks, the Jazz, the Sixers, the Raptors twice, and then the Hawks. So the Celtics have a relatively easy schedule the rest of the way. just widespread speaking. But the Sixers are taking care of business. They're doing what they're supposed to do, and that's exciting. Wednesday night, Sixers-Cavs in Cleveland is going to be another one that the Sixers are going to have to, go out there and perform, as the Cavs are right behind them in the standings at the 4 seed. Only 2 back in the win column, 5 back in the loss column, though. But the Cavs are a good team, and you're going to have to give it maximum effort in that game and win a battle against an Eastern Conference foe that, could pop up in the playoffs depending on where the Sixers end up getting seeded. So we'll see how that all transpires for them, but they're balling. Joel Embiid is the MVP. There's no doubt about it, other than knowing that there is doubt from the actual voters because they just want to give Nikola Jokic his 3rd straight MVP because they're lazy. They don't actually watch the games, and they should be ashamed of themselves for not watching the games and still getting to vote for an award that determines so much for players' careers. And who would have thunk, as soon as Jokic gets exposed against the Spurs, things start going downhill for him, and Joel Embiid just keeps on pushing along. Who would have thought? But Joel is balling. He's our MVP. That's for damn sure. So shout out to Joel Embiid. And a little update here. I know typically we announce it on our anniversary, but the Underground Sports Philadelphia Hall of Fame, I think we are going to reserve announcing everything at our live tailgate podcast on April 8th. That's when that's going to happen. So April 8th, you'll get the Underground Sports Philadelphia Hall of Fame announcement, just a little delayed. Obviously, we had a Super Bowl we were covering. We had everything from the World Series, the Union, and just the New Year, the holiday. It was crazy. So, Underground Sports Philadelphia Hall of Fame, a little delay, but we will announce everything live, tailgate podcast, April 8th, before Philly's opening night. Last bit here, the Philadelphia Union win a beautiful match against the Chicago Fire on Saturday. Joaquin Torres in the 90th minute puts it past the goalie, and the Union win 1-0 in full time. Just a beautiful win for the Philadelphia Union, who right now are 5th in the standings as they are 2-0-1 with 6 points, just behind Cincinnati, Nashville, Atlanta United, and Inter Miami by virtue of Miami beating the Union last week. But that's just, what we've been talking about. The Union get off these slow starts, but they find ways to win, and that's one of those games. They're in a game, just trying to, drudge through, and somehow, some way, find a way, and they beat Chicago 1-0 as they get prepped for CONCACAF Champions League round of 16, leg 2 of 2 in Philadelphia on Tuesday against Alianza once again. Should be pretty interesting matchup. Looking forward to that as well, and them being at home. They got a draw in the last match. I believe it was 0-0, yes, so we'll see what happens in that next leg. And then the Union are on the road for their next MLS match against Montreal on Saturday, March 18th, before they're back home on March 25th against Orlando City. Still trying to figure out what day I'm going to a Union game because it's totally going to happen. Got to figure out which team I want to go see them play. But looking forward to just more Union action and them going at it toe-to-toe with a lot of these teams. And hopefully, at the end of the day, when October rolls around, they're hoisting that supporter shield and, being one of the top seeds in the MLS and going at it and winning a championship like we all expect them to have the ability to do. So looking forward to more Union action, but they get a huge win. Joaquin Torres, just an absolute laser to win that one in the 90th minute in just, absolute scenes fashion. So shout out to the Union once again, getting the job done. And it's March Madness time. Underground Madness is here. If you guys have not joined our bracket challenge, what are you doing? It's one of our favorite things of the year. I had people today hitting me up about it to make sure we were actually doing it again this year. Of course we're doing Underground Madness. It's part of our core as a company. Underground Madness always happens. Join our bracket challenge. It will be linked in the description of this YouTube video and in the podcast notes as well. We've got some fantastic stuff planned for Underground Madness, from coverage. We're planning on live streams with like watch parties for games and watching along with some of the best games out there that we can possibly conjure up for best live stream content. But I'm very excited for March Madness. It's one of my favorite times of the year. I took off this Thursday finally from my day job to be ready to rock and roll. I'm ready to be a couch potato for 4 days straight of just college basketball action. I'm going to absolutely hate myself for not being off the following Thursday for more college basketball action. But we got the bracket, and the bracket is wild. Make sure you go watch our bracket breakdown show as well. But here's the bracket. No Philly team in the bracket for the first time since 1977. And for the first time since the expansion of the bracket to 68, that we do not have a team from Philadelphia represented. The bracket, though, in the South region, it's Alabama versus the 16 seed. We got Maryland, West Virginia in the 8-9, San Diego State, Charleston in the 5-12, Virginia, Furman in the 4-13, Creighton, NC State in the 6-11, Baylor, UC Santa Barbara in the 3-14, Missouri and Utah State in the 7-10, Arizona, Princeton in the 2-15. Then we move to the East. It's Purdue versus the 16 seed, Texas Southern or FDU, Memphis versus Florida Atlantic in the 8-9, Duke versus Oral Roberts in the 5-12, Tennessee versus Louisiana in the 4-13, Kentucky versus Providence in the 6-11, Kansas State versus Montana State in the 3-14, Michigan State versus USC in the 7-10, and then Marquette versus Vermont in the 2-15. Sliding on over to the west side, it's Kansas is the 1 versus Howard at the 16, Arkansas, Illinois in the 8-9, St. Mary's, VCU in the 5-12, UConn, Iona in the 4-13, TCU versus Arizona State or Nevada in the 6-11, Gonzaga versus Grand Canyon in the 3-14, Northwestern versus Boise State in the 7-10, and UCLA versus UNC Asheville in the 2-15. And then in the Midwest, it's Houston at the 1 seed versus Northern Kentucky, Iowa versus Auburn in the 8-9, Miami, Florida versus Drake in the 5-12, Indiana versus Kent State in the 4-13, Iowa State versus Mississippi State or Pittsburgh in the 6-11, Xavier versus Kennesaw State in the 3-14, Texas A&M versus Penn State in the 7-10, and then Texas versus Colgate in the 2-15. Go check out the college basketball podcast on our network, the Glue Guys College Basketball Podcast. They're going to be doing an episode that'll come out on Wednesday, breaking down the bracket, their picks, everything. We're going to have live streams throughout the first weekend for sure, so make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And March Madness is here, baby. Future on repeat the rest of the month. I love March Madness. It is creme de la creme. Chef's kiss, .gif, one of my favorite times a year. Just sitting on your couch for 12 to 15 hours a day watching college basketball is just something about it. Something about it. It gets the blood flowing. And make sure you guys join our Underground Madness bracket challenge, because it's going to be tons of fun this year. We have so many things planned. Obviously, the overall winner, we always give away the official locker room shirt of the eventual champion. We're working on some stuff with our merch partners to get Glue Guys merch out to people, as well as Underground Sports Philadelphia merch. Go get your merch, phiapparel.co, code underground for 10% off. And we are working with our awesome people over at Dubby. We're going to try to get some W out to the people to keep you guys energized all March long. So that'll be up for grabs in our bracket challenge. Go join Underground Madness. It is the best time of year. Get excited. I'm pumped. Are you pumped? I'm ready to go, baby. Shout out Dickie V. But that's all I got for you guys. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It does help the show continue to grow, keeps us pushing along, and really does help more people find Underground Sports Philadelphia. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, new presenting sponsor, shout out to the city of Vineland. Whether you are a company looking to expand, relocate, or are a new business startup, selecting the right location is critical to your success. Vineland, New Jersey offers both an affordable business location and an excellent quality of life. The city's economic development department is a one-stop source for moving your project through the development and approval process. Their goal is to make this process as smooth as possible and to provide the fastest turnaround times in the region. If you are considering potential locations for your operation, contact the Vineland Economic Development Team at 856-794-4100. That's 856-794-4100. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season, and they are the presenting sponsor of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Make sure you're following us on the socials at Underground PHI, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.com/Underground Sports PHI, Twitch.tv/Underground Sports PHI. You can follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311 and Instagram at KBIZZLE11. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple, Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It does go a long way for helping the show grow. Subscribe, and subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. We are currently, as of this recording, at 400 and I lost it. 415 subscribers. Let's keep it pushing. Let's get it up. Get it up. We're trying to get to 500. End of the month. Let's make that happen. 500 is the goal. Trying to get to 1,000 as well. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Smash that like button. Ring the bell icon. Comment down below your thoughts on everything we discussed on this episode. And big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen, along with the city of Vineland. All of them are fantastic. Main Auto LLC, Security 21 Security Systems, Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated, and the Dental Wellness Center of Vineland. And, of course, our amazing merch partners, PHI Apparel Company. Go to phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off any and all orders. Get your merch. Tag us when you get it. We want to see where you're rocking your merch from. It's the most effective and direct way to support us here at Underground Sports Philadelphia. Go get your merch, phiapparel.co. Use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your order. This has been episode number 515 of Underground Sports Philadelphia, presented by the city of Vineland. I'm your boy KB. We'll be back later this week talking about everything from the Phils, the Eagles, the Sixers, the Union, and we'll get Matt's take on the Philadelphia Flyers as well, plus Survivor 44. But until then, I'm getting the heck up out of here, and I'm signing off. Peace.